So on the XAUUSD, the XAUUSD can be considered another interesting setup for us on this on our watch list for this week, as we had some significant amounts of profit that we were able to scoop here on this instrument. So let's run through how the week started for us on the US tech, on the XAUUSD. Sorry, why do I keep saying US tech? Okay, so for us to have a deep insight and refresh our memories as regards to what we talked about on the XAUUSD, I would like us to do things from the 4 hours time frame. So in that regard, I will scale up into the 4 hours time frame here, where we identified a simple setup which we projected on the chart, and definitely we were supposed to use it to guide our trading activity for the week. So the first thing we observed on the XAUUSD chart was the fact that price has been finding lower highs in this market, and we connected a series of lower highs to buttress the character of sellers in this market. So we have a couple of trend lines here. So we have the first one, which was the major trend line, as you can see on your screen. Then we had a couple of other ones. We had this one, which was being respected till the end of last week's trading session. Then we also had another one, which was broken a couple of times during the previous week right here. Then in addition to this trend line, was the first thing that will come to mind is that, okay, we have been on a bearish momentum since we have lower highs. But if you take a closer look at the structure, you will see that sellers were unable to find lower lows in this market. So as you can see, since the last week of last month, we saw how the 1,940 and the 1,935 zone has been negating every attempt by the sellers to break through the structure. We saw all this. We saw this rejection. So sellers were finding it difficult to break through at every point in time. Even till the beginning of this month, we saw how that level had continued to negate. And even during the New York session yesterday, we saw our price, as soon as it dropped into the 1,940, we saw a sharp rejection leading into bullish candle after that moment. So you would agree with me that the 1,940 level is a major key determinant of buying power in this market. So it will be quite reasonable that we, as long as price remains above the 1,940, we look out for buying opportunities in this market. Now, unless we have a significant breakdown of this 1,940, we can't be considering selling the XAUUSD at this point. Then in addition to the structure here, we had a key zone between the $1,960 level and the 1,965. So we had a zone here, which has also been a major determinant of price action. Look at it here. It was a demand zone at this point. It was a demand zone here. Then we saw the breakdown retest here on the 25th of May. We saw a consolidation phase here before the breakdown of the structure happened. And in the last couple of weeks, this zone here has been pushing price to the downside. So you agree that this is a very key significant structure. And it is from this same zone here we saw the strong selling position we took advantage of here yesterday. So with the information we have gathered here on the 4 hours time frame, let's look at how we took advantage of trading opportunities this week. So we are right back in the 1 hour time frame, and this is what we saw at the beginning of the week. Remember, this is the zone, and you know how we use our key zones. When price action remains below the key zone, we continue to look out for selling opportunities. But if a breakout of the key zone happens, we want to be looking out for buying opportunity. And if you look at what has been happening since the beginning of this week, you will see that price action has most of the time remained below the key zone in this market. Now, we saw what happened here yesterday, I think on Monday, where price action broke down this trend line for the first time, break down that structure, and that move gave us about 100 pips before this bullish momentum began. And during the live session yesterday, I told us all that there is a chance, there's a likelihood that price action, after breaking down this trend line, could still come back to retest the trend line to incite another wave of bearish momentum. And this was exactly what happened, though we saw some stop losses here during the New York session yesterday, and this was as a result of the volatility coming in after the CPI data yesterday. So we had a couple of stop losses around that area before we had a sell position triggered at the breakdown of the 1960. And since that moment, price action moved significantly over 200 pips on that first position, and the second position here, the breakdown of the 1954. I told us all yesterday to have a sell stop order below that level. We had about 140 pips. So in the last 24 hours, we've been in profit of over 300 pips on two positions. So congrats to everyone who was part of this position. And I do hope you moved your stop losses accordingly to secure your current position. And if you had done that, you will still be profitable on this commodity. So during the early hours of today, I tried to understand what is really going on in this market by trying to understand the price action, analyzing the price action. And what I was able to come up with this morning is the simple setup that you have on your screen here. Now, one thing I noticed is that as soon as price action got into that demand zone we identified on the higher time frame, that is the 1940 level, we begin to see buy pressure resume around that area. And to further buttress the buy pressure here, you will see how price action has consistently found higher lows since the later part of the New York session yesterday. And to buttress this, I connected the higher lows here to give me a trend line to work with for today. So what this simply means is that for today's trading session, we have a new trend line that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity. And what this simply means is that as long as price action remains above this trend line, we shall feel comfortable in a buy position, while we also look out for more opportunities to maximize this bullish move. But if at any point in time we have this trend line breached, that is, price breaks down the trend line, then we will start considering selling, and this might likely lead to the second wave of the bearish momentum that started yesterday and might likely break down the 1940 for the first time in the last couple of weeks now to incite a sell-off in this market. So I was able to identify a simple setup on the 30 minutes time frame, which we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. And this is this structure here. So this is the 30 minutes time frame. You want to mark these levels out on your chart so that you can use it to guide trading activity for today. So I have a couple of levels here. So I have the 1940, which I shared with you on the higher time frame as being a strong demand zone in this market, as you can see here. And then we have a level at the 1949.50 level, which you can see has been a selling niche at one point before the breakout of the structure happened. And in fact, this $1,949.50 level, if price action stays above this level, I want to feel comfortable in my buy position. And in addition to that one is this trend line we have here. After connecting the series of higher lows, we have a trend line. So we are going to be using this trend line to guide our trading activity. So at the breakout of the $1,949.50 level, I had a buy position initially before the live session began, and price action moved about 37 pips in my favor. I moved my stop loss to my entry point, and I was taking out at break even at this current point. So I'm going to be placing a buy stop order again above the 1949, hoping that price action will break out of that structure to continue the momentum to the upside. So I'm still looking forward to more opportunities to buy this. So I would want to hold on a second, please give me a moment. All right, so like I was saying earlier, I said that we want to have a buy stop order above the $1,949.50 level with the hopes that price action will still respect this trend line to incite more opportunities to buy the XAUUSD today. And if price action continues to climb to the upside, then a breakout of the $1,960 area, a very important key level there, will welcome more opportunities to buy the XAUUSD for today. So this is what we are going to be looking at to buy the XAUUSD. So we have a trend line, a bullish trend line, and a key level at the $1,949.50 level to guide any bullish momentum today. So let's mark this out on our chart and look out for buying opportunity if price action remains above the structures. You know how we do it here. In as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities here, we also want to take into consideration the potentials of sellers too as well. And if we consider the fact that price action has been bearish in the last 1 week now, since this week began, and considering the strong impulsive move we saw here yesterday, crashing into that demand zone at the 1,940, we cannot ignore the potentials the sellers also have at this juncture in the market. So now what we are going to be looking at here is to see what are we going to see on this chart that will make us to change our bias from the bullish expectation into a bearish one. Well, since we already have a trend line which we said is going to be guiding this bullish momentum here, if we are going to be selling or considering selling the XAUUSD, which will support the idea of a bearish momentum here. So continued selling pressure below this level will incite a bearish momentum. That is, buyers are finding it difficult to break back above the trend line. Then at this point, we join a sell move by maximizing this bearish momentum. And if price action breaks down to 1,940, a sell stop order there will help us to maximize the potential of this bearish move. So let's be on standby to catch any of this opportunity when they finally happen. So we have a simple setup here on the 30 minutes time frame, which I implore us to mark out on our chart, and you can as well screenshot my screen so that you can use it as a reference point when you're about to make your independent decision on your account.